What's good, everyone? It's your boy Nazi with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone. And I don't even think these two guests need an introduction, but I'm just going to introduce them. Obviously, we have Louie T, the legendary Louie T, one of the GOATs in this content community for the Washington Commanders now. And of course, we have the real Ed Oliver as well. And thank you guys for so much for joining me on this stream. I think this is going to be a legendary one, much like we had back in July. But if you guys want to plug anything right now, I'll give you guys some time. You can start with Ed.
Yeah, you guys already know it's the real Ed Oliver, not the one from the Bills. You see what Nadi put on the thumbnail. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's EDTOOOFLATT. I know it's a lot. And then if you're a Wizards fan, there's not a lot of us out there. I do Locked On Wizards, but yeah, you can definitely follow me on YouTube. You just type in Ed Oliver Commanders, it'll pop up. You guys just hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, sucks to be you. I'm a Grizzlies fan, so I can't really relate.
Finally
right
good.
now.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, we've been good before. You know, took a little time off. We're back now. We're not going anywhere for the next decade. So, yeah. But yeah, man. Of course, you know what it is, man. Louie T, man. Appreciate y'all joining us here on the stream. I got a whole lot of stuff going on, draft content going on. Obviously, talking about the Commanders and what they're going to do at 11 and so forth and so forth. But also have another channel, so I'm gonna take the time to plug that one. I am a card collector, so I have another channel collecting cards called Big Card Hunter. So if you're on YouTube and you're interested, if you're not gonna watch, don't sub up because you hurt the channel when you do that. So appreciate y'all, and let's get the party started.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously everyone knows that you guys are great content creators and stuff, but I'll say this again, like, great people, Ed and Louie, like, coming on with a little guy like me on this live stream, man. Like, go sub them up if you haven't already. But like, with that being said, let's get started into the conversation around first Sean Taylor, because he would have turned 39 on Friday, and I was wondering, what is your guys' fondest memory of him?
So let me start by saying this. You said coming on with a little guy like you, but what we always have to remember is we were once you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't just show up and we had 10,000 subscribers. There's a journey to get to that point. And if you can reach back and pull somebody with you, by all means, that's what we try to do. And this is a tight-knit community anyway. You know what I'm saying? So always looking to support. But, you know, it's funny that you bring up Sean Taylor, because on his 39th birthday, you get the obligatory post of the little highlight package, the same one we done seen 110 times. It never gets old. It never ages a day. I watch it and it's like I go straight back to when I was watching it live. And I just always say to myself what he would have been had he lived and played. I don't know what this organization would have been. Would we have found a quarterback? But I can tell you he would have been a Hall of Fame player. And you know, there's so many fond memories, so many big plays that he had, so many games that he had. The game against Green Bay, where he could have had 10 picks. He only had like 2 in that game. He dropped another 3 in the rain against Brett Favre. And, you know, I think about that rookie season. How about the very first game he ever played in the Hall of Fame game? He has the pick 6, you know, and he arrives on the scene and you're like, this guy is ridiculous. And he never let us down. You know, he always made big plays in the biggest of games. The scoop and score against the Eagles to secure the playoff spot. The only touchdown scored in the game against Tampa Bay. We were so bad offensively. And he swoops in, scoops up the Marcus Washington fumble, runs it in for the touchdown. No other team in the game. You know, we don't score another touchdown the entire game. He was a phenomenal athlete. We've never seen anything like him since at that position, and I don't know if we'll ever see anything like him after him.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to follow that up, but Sean, I mean, the punter, the whole Pro Bowl, you know, hit sticking the punter, Patrick Clayton going over the middle, T.O. scared him, Randy Moss scared him, what's his name, Freddie Mitchell from the Eagles, the wide receiver, scared to go across the middle. So many guys you can name, Chad Ochocinco, scared to go across the middle against Sean Taylor. So many things he did for the organization just as a team and just for the game of football, the scoop and score against the Eagles. Sean T, man, he's that guy. He's that guy. So I mean, I wish we could have honored him a little bit better.
Yeah.
Than what we did. But you know, it is what it is. I don't even want to mess up the moment. But you know, Sean T, I mean, it's crazy how much potential he had coming out of Miami. There's a lot of potential, and helping us get to the playoffs. The one playoff win that we had, 2005. Sean T was on that team. So I mean, goodness gracious. But yeah, he's a legend. He's a legend.
You know, the crazy part is we've had so little to hold on to since then that we won't let it go. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one guy that, you know, we always pull out when things get its worst. There's always Sean Taylor. You know what I mean? That brief little 4-year stretch that we had with him, there's always that. You know what I mean? And so it's just crazy to think, you know, how long he's been gone, and yet we still talk about him as if it happened yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Every safety, I'm sorry to cut you off. Every safety wants to be him. Landon Collins when he came here. DJ Swearinger wanted to wear his number. Kyle Hamilton talks about him now in the draft. So every young safety coming out or playing in the game, they always give recognition to Sean Taylor.
That's when you know you had a true impact. Like, I didn't realize, I'm a 7'5" guy. I didn't realize how big of an impact Allen Iverson had in the league until this new group of kids came up and they were talking about how Allen Iverson, that's who they wanted to be like. You know, the Kobe Bryants and a lot of those dudes talked about how much they were in. Chris Paul to tell you, like, I didn't want to be like Jordan. I want to be like AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, LeBron James will tell you that. I wanted to be like AI. I didn't want to be like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or any of those. I wanted to be like AI. Like, you didn't realize the impact that he had until you saw how many guys wanted to emulate him. And that's the same thing with Sean Taylor. You didn't realize just how wide-reaching his impact was until all these young safeties come in the league, and the first name that they spit out is Sean Taylor.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And to close this topic off, I will say I checked it out once again before our stream, but if you guys haven't already, go check out John Keim's piece on I think it was Sean Taylor's last game or one of his last games against the Packers. Louie referenced it. It's pinned on John Keim's page on Twitter. If you guys haven't checked it out already, it's I think from 4 or 5 years ago. Really good. It goes into basically all the people who were involved in that season, from the position coaches to the defense coordinator, the head coach, and also opposing coaches and opposing players as well. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you do so. But moving off the Sean Taylor topic, I want to get to this, Louie. And I know, you know, it's definitely a sad moment for you, but we're going to talk about Duke.
Moment of silence. In the arms of the Angels.
We're going to talk about your Duke Blue Devils bowing out. I know I shouldn't be talking because I'm a Hoyas fan and they've been trashed this season. But, Louie, what are your thoughts on Duke's run this season and them bowing out to UNC?
It was an uneven season from start to finish. But I think the tournament actually, much like Carolina, like nobody expected them to be where they are right now. I don't think the most loyal Duke fan thought we were going to end up in the Final Four with the season that we had, you know, losing to Carolina in the final game of Coach K and Cameron Indoor, losing to Virginia Tech in the ACC championship. Some of the losses we've had throughout the course of the season, we showed that we were capable of beating anybody. We beat Gonzaga early in the year, who was the #1 overall seed in the tournament. But, you know, we could lose to anybody. You know, no game was safe. So for us to get to the point that we got to, I was pleased. Really, I just told the fellas, Coach K needs 2 wins to get to 100 overall in NCAA tournament play. Nobody will touch that. But 100 is such a nice round number. He got to 101. We ended up winning 3 games in the tournament. So I was proud of them for getting that done. But or 4. We won 4 games. But I was disappointed that it came to an end against Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, of all the teams that we could have played, and this, you know, it's hard to believe as a Duke fan that we haven't run into Carolina at any point in the tournament before. You know, obviously the people that set up the brackets, they want to set it up to where we don't meet them until either the Final Four or the championship, right? But still, just all these years we've never met them in the tournament, and for it to be this particular game, it was big. A lot of people were talking trash. Obviously, you know, Duke is we're the evil villains in college basketball, right? If you're not a Duke fan, you hate Duke. That's just how it goes. So I'm used to all of this, right? But This one took on greater meaning because this was Coach K's swan song. This is his last final, dance. So we wanted him to go out on top, and Carolina spoiled the final game at Cameron Indoor. And this was a chance to get some get back on the way out, and we blew it. We had opportunities. That's a good team over there. They're well coached by Hubert Davis. He's doing a hell of a job in his first year. But we had our opportunities. We missed free throws down the stretch. I mean, got to give Caleb Love some love. I mean, that's a hell of a shot. Ice water in your veins. I mean, that was not a wide open shot. There was a hand in his face, and he stepped up and drilled it with no problem. So they made winning plays down the stretch. We didn't, but it doesn't make the sting any less. It hurts. It definitely hurts. And I just hated that it was Carolina, man. Damn, why it have to be Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, Ed, you could talk about this as well, but
oh man,
you guys,
yeah.
I mean, you guys think maybe Coach K, he might pull a Brady and he might come back just because of how the season ended? No?
Nah, he's done, man.
Oh,
I mean, he's ready to pass the torch. We've got a coach in waiting already in John Shire, and they already know the exit strategy, and so similar to Carolina with them transitioning to Hubert Davis, we've already got it set up, and so he's gonna be just like Big John was for the Hoyer program, right? He's retired, but he's never gone. Like, he's hovering over the program, right? Up until his death, Big John, no matter who was coaching the Hoyers, whether it's his son JT3 or whomever, he was always there. He was always a larger than life presence, hovering over the program. It's going to be the same way with Coach K. I imagine it's the same way with Roy Williams at North Carolina. And so, yeah, he's ready to move on, and he's going to do that.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. It's funny to see him lose to Carolina in the home game, and he did his little speech after the game.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. But no, and all jokes aside, they had a good team. You guys had a good roster. I'm praying the Wizards luck up and get Paolo, because a lot of people hate on Paolo, but Paolo can hoop, man. He can hoop. He's a baller. And Griffin's good too. They got some good team. They got some good guys on that team. Yeah,
we do. It'll be interesting to see where the lottery balls fall, because he ain't getting past 2. Obviously, it's either gonna be him or Chet. 1-2, 2-1, whatever the case may be. So, and you got the kid from Auburn too. So it's either going to be 1-2 that way, or Chet's going to slide in there somewhere. He ain't getting past 3. That's what I should say. He won't be any worse than 3. Right.
And since the national championship is tonight, who do you guys got? Kansas, UNC?
I'm going to go with Kansas. They just have I mean, UNC is on a roll, though. Like, they're just hot right now. Like, Love is hot. The other guard is hot. Baycott, he's got a bad ankle, though. That's the only thing with Baycott. Because he was killing that shit.
A lot of rebounds,
Yeah, like 30 rebounds.
I want to pick Kansas. I don't like Bill Self. I don't like the Kansas program. I think they underachieve quite often. I think they're going to underachieve tonight. I hope. I mean, Remy Martin's playing his ass off. If they win, he'll probably win most important player of the tournament for them. I'm rooting for him. McCormick's from the 757. You know what I'm saying? So I can't stand Kansas, but I'm the biggest Kansas fan tonight. But I don't think they're gonna get it done. I just think Carolina's playing hot basketball, man. They really are. And all of those dudes are playing with confidence.
Yeah, agreed. And I apologize, guys. We're 13 minutes into the stream, but shout out to everybody in the chat. The voice of all things, Nicholas, Hawk TV, Patrick West, Abdullah, LeBron Stan, Kurt Smith, Dub's family, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining, and for the new member as well that I see here, Skins Fan All Day. I appreciate you so much. But now we're gonna get into some Commanders discussion, of course, because this is Commanders Weekly. I want to get your thoughts, of course, on the drama, the turmoil, the off the field stuff that continues to surround this team. What are your thoughts on the reports last week that the U.S. Congress House and Oversight Committee was looking into allegations of financial improprieties, and the more specific details that came out this week that the franchise was withholding ticket revenues for opposing teams? And a second part of this question, will this Commanders franchise ever rid itself of its drama with Snyder at the helm?
Who you going to first?
And we can start with Ed on this one.
No, they will not. But like Ron said, winning cures all. Ron got impatient with reporters in the interview last week. He got upset, but like he said, winning is going to cure all. But as far as Dan as an individual, yeah, it's never going to go. People are always going to try to get him out of here. You know, I'm not mad if he is forced to sell, but I said in my video today, I'm not getting my hopes up. There's still about the whole ticket sale thing. It's still allegations. They said it was a former employee from the Washington Commanders now. Of course, some people are speculating it's Bruce Allen. I don't know if it's him or a lady employee, whoever it is. But that is, if it is true, the crazy thing, well, we know how this works. The harassment allegations, that's probably not going to be enough to get him out. That's, he says, she says, so they're not going to be able to really 100% prove that. But if you're taking money away from your partners, your business partners, that's what's going to get them upset. So that is probably the smoking gun. That's like this is probably the biggest thing they could really get. This is actual factual concrete. If they are able to prove this could actually put a foot in the door in forcing him to sell. But like I said, I'm not optimistic on this. I'm not getting my hopes up. So whoever is, getting all happy and stuff, I would just relax, and we got to see how this plays out.
It might be sad though that ticket sales might seal the deal with Snyder's tenure here in DC and not sexual harassment, but
it's like these topics I usually steer clear from because nothing's going to happen. And I always say with these types of situations regarding Daniel Snyder, it's not a story until it's a story. Like it became a story when, you hear that he's withholding money, potentially 40% of ticket sales from the other owners, because one thing about rich people, they like money a lot. And when you start playing with their money, now they have a problem. So if they found out that he was cheating them of revenue, they're going to put him out. Like that's a no-no. You don't play with my money. So the problem here is you got to prove this. And this can't be he said, she said, and right now they're already painting this as a disgruntled employee that was fired that wants to get back at Dan. It doesn't sound like he has any concrete proof. He's just talking. And I don't think he's lying. Okay. Just for the record, I don't think he's lying, but they're going to make it seem as if he's lying. And if you don't have any proof, then you're going to be made to look like a fool. And what this is his go-to move. We've seen this multiple times. He's going to sue this guy, okay? What's going to happen is he's going to sue this guy for defamation of character, right? And make this guy look like he's the bad guy here. When we all know it's Daniel Snyder and that he's probably doing this shit, but the guy doesn't have any proof. And he probably was disgruntled. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to tell everybody what the hell you were doing. And if you don't have the proof to back it up, nobody's going to believe you. And so at the end of the day, this is definitely an infraction that could get him, bounced from the league by the other owners. And honestly, they're sick and tired of this. You think Roger Goodell isn't sick and tired of defending him and talking about Washington every year at the league meetings? You don't think he's getting tired of this shit? It's something different every year, whether it's allegations here or now it's something about, improprieties with finances, and we got two different books and this. I mean, they get tired of this. The league gets tired of protecting him with the shield, but they don't want to put one of their own out. I've long said, if you're going to get an owner bounced, you better have gun, fingerprints, and ballistics, right? So in order for Daniel Snyder to be pushed out as owner, he's not only got to fire the gun, he's got to put the gun down, leave it at the scene, and leave the ballistics there so that they can connect all the dots. He's not going to do that. He hasn't done that. He's always covered his trail. He's always made it a situation where it was never, ever fully without reasonable doubt. There's always a way that he can cast doubt on something. And this is going to be another one of those situations, I believe. I don't see the guy having enough proof.
Yeah, and Dan was supposed to be suspended. Matt Parrish reported that Dan was a part of the Carson Wentz decision. He's been around the team. Goodell was on the podium saying that, yes, he was stuttering. Saying that Dan was away from the team. We all know that's not true. We've seen him in the hoodie around the team. We've seen him at the Sean Taylor thing too. The present tribute. He's been there the whole time.
And not only has he been there the whole time, Dan, after Roger Goodell said it the first time that he was going to be suspended, Dan said, I'm not suspended. Okay. They fined the team. They didn't find me. Like, Dan has never took culpability for any of this. The league is saying one thing, Dan's saying something totally different. Okay, you want me to go away? I'll just run the team through my wife. She's a figurehead. She's doing whatever I want. So if I can't actually physically be there, I got Tanya running the show for me. But as Ed already mentioned, he's been there, and there's proof that he's been there in daily activities during the season. There are multiple occasions of people having tangible proof that he's there. At this point, like I said, I don't even get into that kind of stuff because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. He's not going anywhere.
And you mentioned Tanya. I mean, don't forget my Chicago brethren, Jason Wright's also served sort of as a fall guy for the owner. So
That's right.
I mean, I don't know, but I will say this, and I think this is sort of an under-discussed issue at play. Let's say Dan Snyder, some way, somehow, he remains owner of this team. But instead of the league forcing him out, they essentially implement punishment where it affects the on-the-field operations for this team, i.e. the loss of draft picks, loss of salary cap space. Are you worried about a potential punishment in this form handed down by the league?
I am, but I don't think they're going to do that. But my stance has always been, don't punish us as fans. We've been punished enough. Just the fact that this man's been our owner for over 2 decades is plenty enough punishment. Please don't punish us as fans. We got nothing to do with his chicanery. Okay. all we're trying to do is support this team through thick and thin and find a way out of the quarterback wilderness so that we can have a chance to win on a consistent basis. Don't punish us, please. Like, we want this guy gone. We don't, it's one thing if we're defending him and we want him here and he's doing foolishness. We want this guy gone. Please punish him, not us. But I do worry about those types of things because eventually they're going to say, you know what? All right, fine. We didn't suspend you or we didn't fine you. We fined the organization. Okay, well, how about this? We're going to take some draft picks from your ass. How do you like that?
Ed?
Yeah, I was going to be pissed because there was rumors of that last year. I was going to be so pissed if they took even a 6th-round pick. I would be pissed off for that.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, Dan, he's like Teflon Dan right now. He's basically untouchable. But yeah, I mean, I'm just over him. But yeah, to hear that he was involved with the Carson Wentz trade was, I'm not gonna say I didn't think he was involved with it, but just to get confirmation on it. I'm not gonna say it makes me not like the trade anymore. We'll probably get to the trade later on, of course. But it's a little concerning. It's a little concerning.
Okay. Moving off the Dan topic. So per Ben Standig, Coach Rivera told The Athletic that no teams have reached out to the Commanders inquiring about a potential trade for Terry McLaurin. Do you think the team will eventually give him the long-term contract that I think we all agree that he deserves, or will they potentially deal him?
Yeah, I don't think they'll deal him right now. I know there's been reports of teams inquiring about him. But I think I don't see him getting traded in the near future. Now, it could end up being a franchise tag type thing next year. We got to see how or the year after, whenever his contract is up. But we got to see how it plays out with Carson. I don't see them trading him at all. There's some crazy fans, like Chiefs fans, have been like, "Oh, we're getting Terry. We're going to trade our 29th and our pick for Terry McLaurin." But no, it wouldn't be smart to trade him. I really hope it's not a Brandon Sheriff type thing or a Kirk Cousins type franchise, double franchise tag thing in the near future. But yeah, you got to keep him, man. He's our best offensive player. You can argue he's our best player. It's really between him and John Allen, based off really last year. Yeah, I'd take Terry. I think Terry's the best player on the team. It's probably between him and John Allen, but he's our best offensive player. He's played with 6, 7, 8 different quarterbacks. Imagine if he had. I was thinking this morning. I was like, imagine if he played with just Derek Carr. He probably had 1,500 yards. He probably had the same amount of production or more than Hunter Renfrow. But he's been playing with Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, Cole McCoy, Garrett Gilbert. Get this man a solid quarterback. You look at DJ Moore's contract, what is it, $20 million per year? I would give him like a little bit more than DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Maybe like 21, maybe 22 if he plays hardball. But yeah, if he is asking for like a Tyreek Hill type contract, then you got to consider the future. But I don't think Terry, listen to him talk and the way he acts. I don't think he's going to ask for anything crazy like that. But yeah, when he's going through negotiations, and Ron offered Amari Cooper $22 million, right? That was what 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And look how the money's going up. So I'd be like, hey, you offered Amari Cooper $22 million, who just got traded by the Cowboys for a 5th or 6th round pick, and really is not that much. He's really not better than me. So if you're gonna offer Amari Cooper $22 million, I need to get the same thing. So that's what Terry's gonna say. I would give him $22 million in a heartbeat. I wouldn't think about it.
But Ed, you don't know what's gonna happen when greedy agents come into the fold.
You're right about that. That is true. That is true. You never know. He could ask for 25. You never know. But I don't think this year, maybe if he had, let's say he goes for like 1,200, 1,300 yards and 10 tubs this year, then yeah, he might ask for like 20. I would say, yeah, he's got to get 13, give me 1,350 yards and 10 tubs.
Yeah.
And then maybe you go a little bit more than 22 million. Just because of the market, it keeps going up. Like Devontae, Christian Kirk just messed it up for everybody. Say thank you to Christian Kirk.
Yeah. Never had a 1,000-yard season.
It's amazing that, you know, we are where we are because of, like you said, the deals that were done this offseason. I just look at it like this. There's no way Terry is going anywhere. There's one thing Ron has been consistent with since he's gotten here, and that's guys that he believes are foundational pieces he doesn't want to move on from. You know, I told him after the first franchise tag with Brandon, hey, let him go. Let him go. He was like, no, I think this is the guy that we need here. He's a foundational piece. He's the locker room guy. So they franchised him again. You saw what they gave to Jonathan Allen. Like, I think he views Terry in the same light he views Jonathan Allen, just on the offensive side of the football. Like, this is a guy that this team cannot function without, because not only is he a great guy on the field, he's a great guy in the locker room, but he's also a fantastic ambassador for the organization. And that's what this team needs. So I can't see them parting ways with Terry. I know I read that Ben Stadnick pretty much had a one-on-one with Ron, and he told him that if teams, he hasn't received any calls, but if teams call, they're not interested, right? I believe that to be the case. I don't think Ron's lying or blowing smoke. The money is going to be high. Like, it's going to be on the high end. That's because people keep talking about all the other deals that have already taken place, but what it's really going to come down to, because we can sit here and talk about Tyreek Hill money. He's not in Tyreek Hill's stratosphere, right? So he's not getting anywhere near that. So I'm not worried about that. The agent can ask for what he wants. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to look at your numbers. We're going to compare you to your peers. Okay. You were drafted in 2019 with AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel. All of them non-first round picks, just like yourself. All of them looking for extensions, just like yourself. And what's going to happen is these guys are going to sign, and Terry's going to fall in there somewhere. Is he better than Deebo Samuel? I think so. You know, Deebo's an all-around player, right? But Terry's going to say, his agent's going to say he's got 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons with who knows at quarterback, right? So I think he's better than Deebo Samuel. Is he better than AJ Brown? I think there's a debate there. Most Washington fans are going to say, yeah, if he had a quarterback, but the Titans fans are like, no, he's not better than AJ Brown. I think the rest of the league thinks AJ Brown is better than Terry McLaurin. So let's say AJ Brown gets $23.5 million a year from the Tennessee Titans, because I think they're gonna keep him. I don't think they're gonna move him. I think DK is gonna get traded, and somebody's gonna pay him a ridiculous amount of money. But let's say AJ Brown gets 23.5. Then I think Terry falls in that 22.75 million range, somewhere right under AJ Brown. You know, if his agent's like, look, we're just as good as him, then he'll be in that 23.5 range, somewhere in there. It's not going to get up to 25 or something ridiculous like that, but he's going to, like, when this process first started, we were talking about 18, 19, you know, maybe 20.
Yeah.
No, okay, that's dead. You know, 20 is where we start, but that thing's going to end up somewhere in the 22, 23 neighborhood, and he's going to get it here in Washington. I'm confident in that. So I'm not worried about him ending up elsewhere.
Okay. Shout out again to everybody in the chat. I see. Let me get to the comment here. Sebastian, that boy Louie just finished his 350 minutes ago. Man is a machine. I also see Gabriel here as well. Ed Oliver is an OG. There's one comment I wanted to get. Skins fan all day. I hear what y'all saying, but we got Dan Snyder at the helm. Is it just me, or Snyder being at the helm won't really affect our Terry situation at all. If anything, it would actually benefit or increase the chances that Terry stays here. Right? Am I mistaken with that?
Right. That's how I feel. I mean, because in his mind, Terry's marketable, Terry's profitable, Terry's one of ours. We'll sign him. We'll do whatever we got to do to keep him. You look at the website, who's all over the website? Jonathan Allen, Terry McLaurin. They added Carson Wentz to the website now. So he's with Chase Young. Those are your big four guys, right? That's who you market this team around. That's who you're selling to the fan base. They better pray that Carson Wentz works out, right? Because they've already added him to everything, but they're all in on Carson Wentz. So, that's who they're going with. But Terry is a part of that brand that they're trying to push. You see Chase, you see John, you see Terry, you think Commanders, right? Mm-hmm. He's a part of that fabric. They're not moving on from Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan loves Terry. So it's all about the quarterback play. How does it work out with Carson? How does it go this year? So this year is a huge year. Carson will be his best quarterback that he's played with. So I think they're going to love it. I think they're going to work out. He already said in the press conference that, he loved Terry 2 years ago when he was with the Eagles, when Carson was the Eagles. So, but yeah, Dan, I don't think Dan lets him walk.
They're going to have a great relationship too, because both of them are heavy Christians. You know what I'm saying? Like they come from similar backgrounds, Midwest guys. Carson's from North Dakota. Terry's from Indianapolis. Like, it's similar backgrounds. They're both heavy in their religion and faith. I think they're going to hit it off immediately, man. I really, truly do.
Okay. And another guy that, we sort of have gotten updates on since the season ended is Chase Young and his rehab process. Coach Rivera said that, I believe it was a couple weeks ago now, Chase should now be in Ashburn throughout much of the offseason, right? Remember last year there was a lot of controversy, a lot of talk about how Chase Young didn't show up to the voluntary periods and all that. But do you think Chase Young will have a bounce back season this year? And how pivotal do you think he is to the Commanders' success in 2022? We can start with Louie on this one.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I mean, I've already got tons of Washington fans using the B word, man. I'm like, y'all got to chill, man. But, I mean, last year was disappointing. Who are we kidding, right? Like, after he had the sack on Cam Newton in the first preseason game, who didn't think he was about to explode for like 16 and a half sacks? Like, we thought like, oh my God, here he comes. Like, the league is in trouble. And to go like the first 9 weeks of the season and this dude doesn't even have a full sack by himself. Like, are you kidding me? It was ridiculous. Last year was disappointing. And Ron said it best. And I believe this wholeheartedly. It has nothing to do, first of all, with OTAs and him being here or not being here. Okay. I think his head got big. I think he thought I got it. You know what I'm saying? This league it's nothing. It's just like I'm at Ohio State again. I'll be fine. I don't think he necessarily put in the technical work, because a lot of people don't understand this. Chase Young's a good athlete. He's not a dynamic athlete. He's not Von Miller. He's not TJ Watt. Like, these guys are explosive. They have explosive first steps. You go look at these guys and their 10-second split, and Chase isn't even in the neighborhood with those dudes. Like, there's a reason those guys have that ability to win right off the edge. Chase doesn't have that. And we saw that last year. He couldn't beat anybody around the edge. And then he started, and God, look, I don't want to do this because I do this all the time, but, bless his heart. But Sam Mills III talking about showing Ryan Kerrigan film, get his ass the hell out of here talking that shit. Like, are you serious? That's why he's trying to bull rush and win with a rip around the edge and getting stonewalled 87 million times all season long. And you tell me, yeah, I show them Ryan Kerrigan film all the time. That's why we out here getting our ass kicked, because you're showing them a guy that lucked in the 10 and a half sacks every year. They didn't block him for those sacks. They run bootleg away from him and he finds the quarterback. Don't show him that shit. Show him somebody with some technical skill. Use his hands. Show him somebody that has actually used some moves, like you go hard outside, crossover, go back inside. Montez Sweat has some of the longest arms I've ever seen. Why is he not using his arms more? Like, I don't get it with some of these dudes and why they're not maximizing their talent. I think it's coaching, if you want to be honest, but I think Chase had to go back. I think this injury slowed him down, number one, right? It forced him to sit down, take inventory of the season he just turned in. And I think he's going to bounce back because now it's not like last year. It's almost like the team overall. I think he was a microcosm of the team, like itself. I think a lot of people lost sight of the fact that we were 7-9 in a terrible division, right? We go into the offseason and everybody's just focusing on the fact that we took the Buccaneers to the break and we played them the toughest. First of all, no the hell we did not play them the toughest. Okay, stop saying that shit. Okay. Anyway, I think people looked at that and said, oh my God, Washington's on the way. They're coming. And I'm like, you do know we played teams with like Nick Mullins at quarterback, and we played the Eagles who put in Nate Sudfeld in week 17. Like, you do realize we played an awful schedule. And you know, yeah, there were some wins like the Steelers on the road. They were undefeated and all that. And those were great wins. And that was fun. But at the end of the day, I think people overrated what, you know, we were going to be in the 2021 season. And I think Chase Young himself overrated what he was going to do. He thought he was just going to show up. People were going to come. He was going to command respect. He was going to fall into 10.5 sacks. And then he started getting double teamed and chipped. And if I hear one more damn time, oh, Chase is getting double teamed and chipped, I watched TJ Watt fight through triple teams and get to the damn quarterback. Don't talk to me about no damn double team or getting chipped. His very first sack in the league on Carson Wentz, coincidentally enough, came when he got chipped and he spun off the damn chip and got a sack right around Jason Peters. I've never seen him do that shit again. I actually think it was luck, if you want to be honest with you. So at the end of the day, don't talk to me about getting double teamed. Don't talk to me about getting chipped. Figure this shit out. I think he will, because at the end of the day, now he realizes ain't nobody going to just allow Chase Young to be Chase Young because he's Chase Young. You're going to have to go out there. You want respect, you're going to have to take it. So I hope that this offseason proves to be not only good for him in a rehab sense, but also from a mental standpoint, because I think he wasn't where he needed to be mentally last year.
Yeah, Ron brought up maturity a lot. And I think he was talking about Chase. I think he was talking about Montez, a lot of the young guys. They talked about the sack record, and we're going to do this.
Offseason.
We're going to have the best defense in the league in training camp. And, you know, the whole OTA things, yeah, he's going to be there. He has no choice. He's just got to be there. No family feud with Steve Harvey and a guy. Right. Focus on the game right now. Right. But, yeah, the only way is up right now. I think we do need to temper the expectations. We have to – the generational talent thing, I think that's out the window right now. But yeah, he's got to go back to the drawing board. Like you said with Sam Mills, you could see Chase and Montez both in the Bills game. They kept rushing past Josh Allen. Josh Allen used that against him every time, stepped up in the pocket, and either threw the ball to Stephon Diggs or Emmanuel Sanders every third down. Our third down defense was awful. The pass rush was bad. The secondary was bad. It was a combination of things, and then it got better. Unfortunately, we got better when both those guys went out for some reason, you know. I don't know if it was Jack Del Rio coaching the guys up better, more stunts, different things. With Casey Toohill, he had to be more creative with those guys instead of just sending 4. That could be a combination. I don't 100% know. But as an individual thing with Chase, yeah, he has to work on his post moves. He has to get better with that. I mean, I'm not going to call him Jadeveon Clowney. I don't think he's that. I think he's going to be better than him. Right. But that's kind of what he looks like at the moment. But it's only his second year. Look at Nick Bosa. Look at the Bosa brothers. Look at Nick Bosa, how he came back from an ACL injury. Same thing. Can he do that? That's
the scary part. That did you see what he did last year? Man, 16.5 sacks coming off of an ACL. Like, that's what fans are going to be expecting. I think that's asinine, right? Because Bosa's a different animal. And I've said this about both of the Bosa brothers. Technically, they're the best I've ever seen. I've been doing draft evaluations for the last 10 years, right? They're the best, the Bosa brothers coming out of Ohio State, the best I've ever seen with hand usage, like pure black belts with hands. And to me, a lot of people just think about speed and quickness, and that's great. But honestly, in the trenches, how you win is hands. You know what I mean? If you can defeat a guy's hands, you can win against anybody like that. And Chase didn't use his, like, that's what was so impressive about the sack against Cam Newton. Was Chase used his hands on that sack. The tackle tried to get his hands on him. He swatted his hands down. He flattened the edge. He got to Cam Newton. I was like, oh my God, he's using his hands. It's over. It is 16.5 this year. I didn't see that from him the rest of the season. Like, it just went out the window. So again, to me, it's coaching. You know, because I would be on these guys about hands. Montez would be locking that long arm of the law out and just, I'm talking about bull rushing dudes, getting up under their pads with them long ass arms and pole vaulting dudes right into the lap of the quarterback. They wouldn't have any answers for him because I'm going speed. And then when you're looking for speed, you open up that gate, boom, I'm going to stick my damn hand in your chest and just drive you back. And I don't see that from him. That's coaching. Like, you want these guys to have a rush plan, but as a coach, it's your job to give them the tools to put that plan together. And I don't think that's being done.
Yeah. And the coaching is not going to change with Ron Rivera at the helm. I mean, these guys are loyal to a fault. But last thing I'll say, we didn't even bring up the stat from last year, but I mean, Chase Young, everybody wants to talk about the injury, right, that he sustained and all that, but he had 1.5 sacks through 9 games as an edge rusher in today's NFL, 2nd overall pick. I'm not saying I agree with you, Louie. I'm not saying that he needs to get to the 16.5 number, but
no. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
I know. I'm saying I don't think he needs to get to that point, but like maybe potentially pushing double digits or maybe getting to like the 9.5 sack range.
For me, anywhere from 7.5 and up, I'm good with. Coming off of an ACL, because not everybody comes back from an ACL like they're brand new. You know what I mean? Some dudes need a full year to come back and recover. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't be shocked if he came out of the gates a little slow, sluggish. People start calling him, a bust again, yada, yada, yada. And then as the season wore on, he picks up, gains steam, gets back into the swing of things and finishes on a tear, and he ends up with 8.5 sacks, right? I wouldn't be shocked to see that. But this unrealistic expectation, because he's the second pick, he should have 13.5, because this is the thing that I talked about on my show ad nauseum, and it's that second year leap that you see from the elites in the league. JJ Watt had 5.5 sacks his first year. He had 20 his second year. Khalil Mack had 4.5 sacks his first year. He had like 13.5 his second year. TJ Watt, he came in and he was just good. He had like 7, and he had like 13 in his second year. But it's a jump that second year because you figure it out, right? The game speed slows down. You understand what you got to do. And I was expecting that big jump. Chase had like 7.5 his rookie season, right? So I'm expecting that jump now. Okay, he got 14 in year 2. He got it. And we didn't get that. That's alarming to me. But we're going to see. We're going to see.
And he's got to do it against good quarterbacks. Like you brought up the quarterback schedule the first year. The first game of the year, Rashawn Slater, he got the best out of Chase. Justin Herbert was getting the ball out quick. That was the game plan. So when we did play against top 15 quarterbacks, it was tough for Chase. But the year before, when we did play against Nick Mullins, Dalton twice, and DiNucci or whoever the Cowboys quarterback was, he was getting sacks on those guys. So I do want to see him do it against better competition. But this year, we do have the worst. I think we got the easiest schedule in the league right now, according to Warren Sharp put it out. We got the easiest quarterbacks. It was like Justin Fields, Jared Goff, guys like that. But you got to play who's in front of you. So this is a golden opportunity for Chase to step up this year.
Yeah, my Bears fans friends don't want to hear that Justin Fields.
I do like Justin
Fields,
Fields.
quarterback to play against.
I'm not saying he's trash. I do like Justin Fields. I do like. Justin. But he's got a learning curve to go through.
For sure. And I know a lot of people in the chat are patiently waiting our draft discussion, but the last question I want to ask you guys before then is about the Carson Wentz trade. So I saw, Louie T, your live stream, your video on Carson Wentz, I believe from a couple of days ago. You sort of come around, Wentz. And I think a lot of fans have sort of come around Wentz being here in DC. How much of an upgrade do you think he is over Heineke? Do you think he's capable enough of getting us to the playoffs this year, and with the easy schedule that Louie, or I believe Ed, talked about? And do you think he'll have a better year than he had last year with the Colts?
I don't know if he'll have a better year than he had with the Colts, because you have to understand that he was familiar with that system, right? Like there wasn't a huge learning curve for him. He was familiar with the verbiage. He was familiar with the scheme. He just had to get familiar with his teammates and what was being asked of him. But this is a totally different system. This is a number system, so there's a lot for him to take in. There is no familiarity here, so there could be a bit of a learning curve. Is this an upgrade? I mean, of course it's an upgrade over Taylor Heineke.
How significant?
I wanted it. I wanted him to be good. He's an ODU alum. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I was rooting for him. I wanted to see him play. I'm actually glad he got to play last year. That said, it's a significant upgrade. I mean, keep in mind, Carson Wentz, and I know it. This seems like eons ago. I get it. I understand. But 2017, this guy was a front runner for the MVP. He was playing at a ridiculous level when we used to talk about the future of the quarterback position in the NFL. And the torch being passed from Aaron Rodgers and, you know, those quarterbacks, the Tom Brady's and the Ben Roethlisbergers and the Phillip Rivers, all those guys who are about Drew Brees, who are about to go and pass that baton. They were passing the baton to Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz. Wentz's name was in that discussion. He's that good. But, and people forget because a lot of people have selective memory and they remember what they want to remember. He was good in 2017. Oh, he was great in 2017. Okay. He was good in 18. He was really good in 19 with a subpar supporting cast. Okay. He fell the hell apart in 2020. I think the Eagles failed to realize what kind of a mental state he was in and how fragile he was, the fragility of Carson Wentz at that time. They couldn't draft Jalen Hurts, even though I know why they did it. Still, he wasn't in a position where he could have somebody behind him. He couldn't feel that pressure. They didn't read the room. They made a mistake, and he suffered because of it. So that relationship was fractured. And the Eagles, they were to me, they treated him like we treated RG3, Robert Griffin III, where they coddled him. They made excuses for him. It allowed him to, you know, get away with some things that he probably shouldn't have. And he even admits that he was immature in Philadelphia. I think he grew from that experience in Indianapolis. I watched Hard Knocks. I watched every episode of the Indianapolis Colts Hard Knocks just to get a better feel for this guy because I heard he was a terrible teammate. Well, that's not what his teammates said when he got traded, right? I heard that he wasn't a great leader. That's not what I saw on Hard Knocks. Granted, I get it. They're not only going to put out what you allow them to put out there, right? They're not going to put out Carson Wentz being shown in a bad light. But I watched the Hard Knocks. I listened to their head coach, Frank Wright, who was the one that advocated for Carson Wentz to be traded to Indy in the first place when he became available last offseason. And the man is still saying Carson Wentz can be a top 10 quarterback in this league. Mind you, the Indianapolis Colts don't have many weapons. Carson Wentz has never played with a legitimate number one wide receiver. Never. Okay, this goes back to his Philadelphia Eagles days. You could argue Alshon Jeffrey. I'll tell you, sure, Alshon in his prime, probably a low-end number one in this league. Okay? But he's never played with a guy the likes of a Terry McLaurin, right? And then you add in all the weapons. If Curtis Samuel is healthy, I think they're going to draft another receiver at 11. You got De'Ami
We'll get
Brown
to that.
and all of this talent that we feel like we have. You know, you sprinkle in a JD McKissick, who he had a guy that was better than JD in Indianapolis and Nyheim Hines. So he knows how to use that running back out of the backfield. He got a feel for that in Indy. I think that he's going to be surrounded. Ron made it abundantly clear. We're going to surround this guy with talent. Because Ron knows I'm not going to get fired if this doesn't work, but I'm one step closer to getting fired if this doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? So Ron's going to do everything in his power to make this work. So that if that means drafting an offensive lineman to protect him, if that means drafting a receiver, if that means drafting another tight end, he's going to do it. So I think Carson Wentz is in a really good position here because this is his last opportunity to be the unquestioned guy. We're desperate, right? We're desperate for a guy to come in here and save us. I mean, we've been wandering through the quarterback wilderness for damn near 40 years. So, you know, we're starving for a guy to come in here and lead us at the quarterback position. And I think the Colts, they went about it the same way that we went about getting rid of Scott McLaurin. I mean, they took the lowest road possible. And the crazy part is a lot of the stuff that they're saying is contradicted by when you watch Hard Knocks. It's contradicted, you know. And their owner said, I don't know why Carson Wentz isn't here. I can't really tell you, but I just knew he didn't need to be here. Okay. So I feel totally different than I did because when he first was traded, you hear all those rumors and you're like, well, that's the shit that was happening in Philadelphia. And I know that was happening in Philadelphia for a fact. Even Carson admitted that shit was happening in Philadelphia. you know. The Indianapolis stuff, though, that was low-hanging fruit. It was easy to throw him under the bus and make him look like the bad guy. And I think when they took it too far and they kept talking about it, then everybody's like, oh, okay, y'all on some other stuff. So I feel totally different about the trade now. And he's a huge upgrade, a massive upgrade over Taylor Heineke. Bless his heart, Taylor Heineke. Bless his heart.
Even though he only had 2 more wins last year on a team, on a roster that I think a lot of people are forgetting. Going into last season, people were talking about, oh, the Colts were a Super Bowl contending roster. They just needed a quarterback to be placed into that, that bubble, and potentially they could have got there.
I mean, they had a tremendous run game with Jonathan Taylor. They had an outstanding defense. But again, I go back to the weapons. T.Y. Hilton was always hurt. They're still waiting on Paris Campbell to stay healthy. Literally, he was just throwing the ball to Michael Pittman Jr. and like 3 tight ends and Naheem Hines and handing it off. Like, there wasn't a lot to work with in Indy offensively. And they morphed into this run team where they became so run dependent. And their offensive line, let me remind you, their offensive line was terrible. Offensively blocking in terms of pass protection, terrible. So there were a lot of, circumstances, extenuating circumstances that impacted that offense. But at the end of the day, I think this will be a better situation for him to succeed. But again, it's a new offense too. Keep that in mind.
Ed?
Yeah, so I'm lukewarm to it. There's red flags. There's good things. Is he upgrade over Taylor Heineke? Sure, but is that the end-all, be-all goal, just being better than Taylor Heineke? No, you got to be a lot better than him. Vegas, they just came out with an over-under. That's not the end-all, be-all. But it is concerning that they're saying it's 7.5. You would think it would be at least 8 or 9. I mean, goodness. But it's kind of telling. It is telling. Like Carson, he's good, but we do have to surround him. You can say this about any quarterback. You got to surround him with talent. That's why number 11, I do think it is going to be a wide receiver. I do agree with Ron that you have to get guys to protect him. You got to get someone. You got to get another playmaker in here to help him out. You don't want to do him like the Eagles and draft another quarterback, because it will be a Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz situation all over again. We know how his mental is. When you get when your backup quarterback gets a shrine built in the locker room, that can damage anybody. I don't care who you are.
Right.
It can damage you. It can. And there's a statue of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson before you get a statue. They draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. It's a lot that happened to this guy. Jim Irsay, he wants to take shots at Carson Wentz. We know Jim Irsay. He's been under the influence of different things, and we'll let him talk his talk and move on from that. I'm lukewarm to the move. I'm optimistic. I just want to build around him, give him the best weapons. The whole Colts thing, yeah, it's concerning those last 2 games. But I like what he said in the press conference. He said, I didn't have a good game against the Raiders. I didn't have a good game against Jacksonville. Those were 2 winnable games. I know they don't win in Jacksonville in the past 10 years, but I don't want to hear excuses. He didn't make any excuses to that. He's going to open up the offense. He's going to get Terry the ball down the field. He's going to get Diami the ball down the field. Chris Olave is probably going to be the pick, so he's going to throw the ball down to him down the field. So it's going to be better. It's a 3rd place schedule. The schedule's easier. So, but I'm lukewarm. I really don't trust Carson. I really don't. My gut is telling me that. My gut didn't trust Fitz. But you know what? I was like, you know what? Let me rally behind Fitz. Let me cheer for Fitz. Get him Curtis Samuel. Get him De'Ami Brown. I'm in the same wavelength. Let's support Carson Wentz. All I can do is sit back and cheer for him. He's not the same guy from 2017. It's 5 years from then. He still has the talent, but he's a back injury away from that. He's an ACL injury. He played on 2 bad ankles, and he still stepped up. He had some good games. Louie, you brought up the Cardinals game from last year. I heard you in your stream. That was a big play. That's something that we didn't have last year. Heineke had a couple good plays. I'm not going to take anything away. The Carolina game was incredible from Taylor Heineke. He played his butt off in that Carolina game.
He did.
When we beat Cam Newton. So I'll give it. And Heineke had some good games. We talk bad about him, but Heineke had some good games. He did. The Giants game.
I like Heineke.
So,
I say he should be here, man.
So he should be a good backup. But Carson, he's going to be upgraded. He's just got to stay healthy. He's got to – there's bad Carson. There's good Carson. Carson will make some bad throws. He will make some bad decisions.
Absolutely.
The 2020 year, the Eagles didn't help him. 16 touchdowns, 15 picks, got sacked 50 times. But, yeah, Ron, and I do think this is a make-or-break year for Ron. I do think that because you gave Carson $28 million. You traded 2 third-round picks, one that can turn into a second-round pick. and you could have waited. I'm not the biggest Matt Ryan guy in the world. Who knows if Matt Ryan wanted to come here? He obviously wanted to go to the Colts, and they only traded a 3rd round pick. So you look at that. Like I said, I'm not vouching for Matt Ryan. I wasn't really pressed that they got him, but you do have to look at the other situations. You could have, if you were going to draft a quarterback, which everybody still want, a lot of people still want us to draft a quarterback at 11. You could have signed a Teddy B for $9 million instead of, and when you brought in Carson Wentz, you had to shed the fat with other players. Landon Collins was willing to restructure, and I'm not saying Landon Collins was the greatest player, but he did play well in that second half, and we could have used Landon Collins this year, but when they came at him for the second restructure because they brought in Carson Wentz. I agree with Landon. I'm not about to restructure again for Carson Wentz. Release me. Let me go somewhere else. Matt Ioannidis, the plans changed. So you had to cut another guy. Eric Flowers, a good offensive lineman. You had to cut another guy. So you're making adjustments for bringing in a guy in Carson Wentz, $28 million, and trading 2 third-round picks. When we need picks, we only have, 5 picks now? Now we're talking about, a lot of people want us to trade back just to get more picks. So you are sacrificing things. And Ron is moving, and this is a prove-it deal. The year after this is $0 dead cap. So this is essentially a 1-year deal. If you really believe in Carson Wentz, I feel like Ron should have restructured the deal and maybe made some more guaranteed money in the 2nd year and in the 3rd year. But it kind of tells you, hey, I don't fully believe in Carson Wentz either because I'm not going to space out the deal. I'm not going to restructure the contract. He didn't come up to him with that at all. But at the same time, you have to believe in this guy because you're paying him $28 million. And you trade the 2 third-round picks, so you cannot draft a quarterback. You can't do that because you might as well have just drafted. You might as well sign Jameis as a bridge and then draft Malik Willis or whoever drops to 11, Matt Corral, whoever. But this is Ron and Carson are like this right now because you could have took alternative routes. You didn't have to pay him $28 million. You didn't have to trade 2 third-round picks. When the Colts said they wanted to cut him, they wanted to let him go. So the fact that you're putting your eggs, you're putting $28 million eggs in this basket and 2 third-round picks in this basket, I think Ron and Carson are like this, where I don't know if he's going to be fired, but he will be very close. Say we go if they're anything worse than 7-10 like Heineke, then he should be on the hot seat for that.
So I want to address a couple of things you said because you made a couple of interesting points. One. You give up what we gave up because we couldn't get anybody else here. Like everybody else had a no trade clause, so they had the right of first refusal to say, "Nah, I'm not going there." Carson Wentz didn't have that, so they couldn't wait on Wentz, see if he was going to get released or whatever the case may be. They had to go get him because even Jimmy Garoppolo, I heard rumors that Jimmy Garoppolo said if Washington would have traded for him, he would have said no. Like if you're getting turned out by Jimmy Garoppolo, you're in a really desperate, tough spot, man. So the fact that, and that was the Junkies had that, you know what I'm saying? Where they talked to a guy that was close to Jimmy's camp and he was like, I'm not going to Washington. Are you crazy? Like, I mean, that's where we are, you know. Aaron Rodgers was never coming here. Russell Wilson chose Seattle. He chose Denver over us. Like, if people, it always freaks me out when people say this. Well, what the Seahawks wouldn't trade Russell in the conference. Are you crazy? If Russell Wilson said, I'm not going to Denver, I want to go to Washington, trade me to Washington. Where do you think he would be right now? He'd be here. But he said, I want to go to Denver. Okay. I don't blame him, but I'm just telling you that nobody wanted to come here. You know, we couldn't get anybody to come here to play. So Ron had to do the thing that I don't think he wanted to do, but it was out of necessity. I got to go get this guy. I got to give him $28 million. I had to give up 2 draft picks. I still think we gave up too much personally when you're eating $28 million of cap space for somebody. But they knew we were desperate. They smelt desperation a mile away. And so they were able to get us the 2 draft picks in addition to the $28 million that we ate. At the end of the day, though, I think the Vegas 7.5 number, while I think that is an indictment on Carson, like they don't believe in him, and I get it. I think that's also an indictment on this defense. They're like, hey, we thought your defense was really good last year going into the season. Your defense was trash for 2/3 of the season last year. And then you picked it up towards the end of the season, but then COVID came. I would have really liked to have seen the defense stay healthy, Landon Collins and some of these guys stay healthy, Montez Sweat not have his brother be killed, all of that stuff, and really see what would have happened down the stretch. But, you know, this defense didn't wake up until literally Green Bay. I mean, what was Green Bay? Week 10 last year? Week 11? I mean,
Yeah.
we were terrible defensively last year. So if the defense can't make plays and they can't help supplement what the offense is doing, if we can't play complementary football, also not to mention our field goal kicking situation was a mess last year. Like a lot of people forget about that. Like that didn't hurt us as well. I think that goes into that number in Vegas as well. Like we don't know what your defense is. Like if this defense was ironclad and you add Carson Wentz in an NFC conference that looks like ghost town all of a sudden, like I don't see why that number isn't higher. But again, I'd like it at 7.5. I'd bet the over on that, to be honest with you, because I look at, and I've had this conversation already. Look at this conference, and I say, okay, so let's assume, and these are not rock solid assumptions, but let's just assume that in the NFC West, you're going to get 3 teams. That Trey Lance isn't going to be terrible, so the 49ers are going to be good. Kyler Murray is going to be good in Arizona, and the Rams are going to be good because they're the defending Super Bowl champions. That's 3 teams. Aaron Rodgers has nobody in Green Bay. Now, obviously, they're going to try to fill that cupboard up with something, but he's got nothing right now, okay? And his favorite target isn't there anymore. But they got Aaron Rodgers, so let's just assume the Packers are good. Let's just nobody else in that division that we take seriously. Not the Vikings, not the Bears, not the Lions. So then you go up north, okay? So, or that's the north. So you go down south. Okay, Brady's back. We were talking about that being the worst division in football until Brady showed up. Brady's back now. So let's assume Buccaneers are good. Nobody's afraid of the Saints. Nobody's worried about the Panthers or the Falcons now with Marcus Mariota. Okay, so that's 5 teams. Now you go to the East. It's just Dallas, right? Like, are you afraid of Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts? No one's talking about the Giants, and we're just sitting there. Like, this tells you all you need to know about the NFC East. Carson Wentz just got here as the second best quarterback in the division. Is there any argument there?
He's better than Hurts.
He's better than Hurts to me. I can't speak.
You know, Hurts took to the.
You would say, well, Hurts took his job in Philadelphia. I'm looking at Hurts and I'm saying, y'all went to the playoffs because you were a running back last year that just happened to play quarterback. So I'm just looking at the rest of the conference. I'm saying, are there 7 teams better than us that can keep us out of the playoffs? I just gave you 6. Is there a 7th? There could be. And one of the 6 I just named could end up being trash. You know what I'm saying? There's no guarantee Arizona's going to be good this year, nor San Francisco or Green Bay for that matter. So I just find it hard to believe that when it's all said and done, that we're a 7-win team. I just do. But we'll see. Injuries, all kinds of nonsense could happen.
Okay. 2 quick points before we get into like the draft conversation. So one, on the Russell Wilson not wanting to come to the Commanders. I mean, Ed, you could probably speak on this even more. The square, the cornball, as I think Channing Crowder said on his podcast. But what is it with these big time players from the DMV not wanting to play for their professional teams? Whether it's KD with the Wizards, right? Pretty much shunning them off, and then also Russell Wilson. I get it. He
know the answer,
but he has draft party in DC.
You know the answer. We stink. Yeah. These teams stink. That's why
KD would make a difference. Russell Wilson would make a difference. Like, we actually have to draft these guys. We have to draft the Chase Young. We have to draft the Ryan Zimmerman. We have to draft these guys to actually play for our teams. And if we don't draft them, they have to be an undrafted guy like Jarrett Patterson, someone who, just waiting for an opportunity. Like,
but this is the thing. We operate like a small market team, but we're not in a small market. You know why we have to operate like I'm a Memphis Grizzlies fan. Nobody's coming to Memphis on a free agent deal.
You're right about that.
We gotta get lucky.
Well, now they are.
Well, exactly. Maybe they are, but we don't even need free agents, to be honest with you. We've drafted so well. Like, we've put together, like, we got the richest owner, we got the 3rd richest owner in the NBA, and Robert Pera. And he's done a phenomenal job of surrounding. He's the youngest owner in the league. And he's surrounded himself. We got the youngest GM. Our GM's 34 years old. Like, they think differently in Memphis. And when you look at our team, the oldest player on our team is 28 years old. And that's Steven Adams, right? It's a young team. They don't know any better. But a lot of these dudes we drafted, right? Like, that's how you get good when you're a small market team. The Spurs, they've always been good. Why? Because they drafted well. Not because guys were clamoring to go to San Antonio to play with Tim Duncan. No, they drafted Tony Parker. They drafted Manu Ginobili. They drafted Tim Duncan. You know what I'm saying? They had the foresight to trade. Remember, Kawhi Leonard was not a San Antonio Spurs. They traded with Indiana. They gave Pop loved George Hill. He gave up George Hill because he saw what Kawhi Leonard could be. So in order to get to that point, you got to have foresight and you got to be good. We don't have either. We're not good. We don't have foresight. We don't see things happening before they happen. Same with the Wizards. And so you find yourself in these types of predicaments where nobody wants to come to your team and you're not good. And it's the chicken or the egg. Like, you got Bradley Beal. How can I get somebody here with Bradley Beal? Nobody wants to come here to play. He's probably going to end up getting traded. This is what's going to ultimately happen, right? Because nobody wants to come here to play with Bradley Beal. So at the end of the day, we're in a tough spot because our culture that's better because Ron is here is still toxic. Because every time you look up, there's something else with this organization. We don't win, right? Every 3-4 years, we luck up, whether we backdoor our way into the playoffs or the division's terrible, so we're 7-9 and we win it. But when's the last time we won 11 games?
I wasn't alive.
I'm about to say, if you're not of a certain age, you can't even speak to that. You weren't alive yet. That's a problem. So that's why you won't get guys that want to come here. You won't get big name guys that want to come here. You won't get quarterbacks because so what Russell Wilson said when he was leaving Seattle. He said the reason I wanted out is because I felt like they were tarnishing my legacy. When you're a quarterback, every win, every loss is charged to your account, whether you're responsible or not. Josh Allen played one of the most phenomenal playoff games we've ever seen against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's charged with a loss. That shouldn't go on his account. His defense could not stop a nosebleed in that game at the end. But he loses that game. That's on his legacy. That's on his stat sheet, right? He said he felt like his legacy was being tarnished in Seattle. That's why he needed a fresh start. You think he's going to leave Seattle where he feels like his legacy is being tarnished to come to Washington where we have no legacy now? You know, you got to go all the way back to the 80s, late 80s, early 90s for any type of a legacy that's positive. And we call this the reverse car wash. Everyone calls it the reverse car wash in Washington. You go in clean, you come out dirty. You think he's going to come in here with his squeaky clean cornball image, as you guys like to say? You think he's going to bring that here and come out of this thing dirty? Where he starts losing games and people were talking bad about Russell Wilson last year when he broke his finger and he wasn't playing well. You think he's going to come here and take more of that? Yeah, no way.
Okay.
And so that's the problem here in Washington.
I mean, I get that.
And Ed said it. Ron said it. Win. But the problem is chicken or the egg. Well, you got to get the players to win, right? Well, you need to win first to get the players. So how do you do that? You got to get lucky is what you got to do. We almost got lucky when we were number 2, and I didn't want him. So I can't sit here and act like I know we made a mistake back in 2020 or 2019, right? Or excuse me, 2020. I said it right the first time. But we had the second pick in the draft. We could have taken Justin Herbert. I didn't want him. So I'm not going to sit here and have revisionist history and act like, oh my God, in the moment I was saying we were stupid for not taking the quarterback. But somebody needed to be in there with the foresight to say, hey, Chase Young is cool and he's great, but we need a quarterback. And the pick should have been Herbert, right? It's easy to say that now. I was on board with Chase Young. That should have been the pick. I only wanted Joe Burrow if I was going to take a quarterback in that draft. Yeah. I didn't want Justin Herbert. But that's what I'm talking when I say foresight. That's what I'm talking about. You got to have the foresight. Don't listen to us. We fans. Okay? You got to have the foresight to say, and that was, you're asking a lot. Ron just got here. He couldn't tell you Adam from Eve when he first got here. Ron didn't even know what he was getting himself into. Like Ron, I don't think he realized what he was getting himself into till the name change shit happened in July. And then he realized, oh, I'm the guy out in front of all of this. This is coach centric. So I got to answer all these questions. And then the allegations came in the Washington Post. And he's like, oh shit. This is what everybody was warning me about when I was out here looking for a job. And Ron, you hear people ask him, don't you wish this was just more about football? Ron always says, yeah, I do wish this was just about football. It's not when you come to Washington. Ron is in over his head, but he's got to adjust. He don't have a choice now. He's got to adjust, right? But that's the problem with here is it's never just football. It's always some other shit too.
Okay.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
got thoughts?
we haven't seen. So, I mean, yeah, you can say it for we brought a basketball to Kevin Durant. I'm not a fan of the guy as a person, but he is the best player in the NBA right now. It's between him and
LeBron
Giannis.
is.
It's
Okay.
between him and Giannis. Yeah, LeBron's not gonna make the playoffs. I'm
Okay.
talking about
What about
the play
KD?
in.
Age
We're
33
talking about the
season.
play
Age
in.
33. Age 33 season. LeBron was busy getting his team to the finals, but KD's fiddling right now at 10 seed in the East. But
That's because he has Kyrie, who
Uh,
played 10 games this year. But no, we'll
Did
get
Le-
back to football.
LeBron didn't have Kyrie back then. Okay, go ahead. 2018.
I'm talking about, and then you got a Ben Simmons who's not even gonna play probably in the playoffs. But we'll get back to football.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Louie said, we don't win. DC for some reason is not very attractive. Of course, it's cold. It's cold in Denver too, so I'm not even gonna use that excuse. The nightlife, people love partying in DC, so you can't even say that. Russ is a square or whatever, so he's not looking for the nightlife either. So those points are out the window. Like a Miami, you're like, okay, the nightlife is nice down there. LeBron went to Miami. Players went to Tampa Bay only because Tom Brady was there. Tom Brady went to Tampa. The weather might have played a factor in that. And just look at the receivers that he had. You look at the receivers of the Broncos. They had Jerry. They got Jerry Jeudy. They got Tim Patrick. They got Cortland Sutton. They got KJ Hamler. Did they trade Albert O or Noah Fant?
No,
I can't remember which
traded
tight end.
Fant in that deal, but they still got Albert O. You know what I'm saying?
Still
Like,
got
they had
Albert
talent.
O.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
The choice wasn't wrong. I don't blame them for that.
Yeah. So and then you look at Washington. You got Terry. You got Curtis, who's on the side of the field every day, every week. You got Diami, who's got potential, but that offense is just better. And then you got an offensive-minded head coach versus Ron Rivera. So there was just different factors, and the history is bad. Unless you're going to overpay like the Browns did for Deshaun, where they just gave him a crazy contract. That's probably the only way you're going to get. You got to fire up Jet One and bring somebody in. That's probably the only way you had a chance to bring in a Russ or a Deshaun or Aaron Rodgers. That's the only way you could bring guys in. But from our standpoint, that's why you had to either draft a guy at 11 or you got to get a Carson Wentz who somebody didn't want, and then you got to overpay for him 2 third-round picks and a $28 million guaranteed contract, and then some years after that. So that's just where we were. Now, Ron, he shouldn't have. I don't know if it factored in or not. The whole campaigning saying we're going to get this guy, we're going to get Russ, we're going to get Deshaun, we're going to get Aaron. I'm going to go on Good Morning Football. I'm going to go on this show with Josina Anderson. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to campaign. Mike Silver's going to write an article for me. We're going to hype this up. We're going to bring somebody in. I don't know that approach. If it would have went different, if it would have stayed quiet, because I didn't really hear much from the Broncos, to be honest. I didn't hear them campaign. We all knew that they wanted a quarterback, but they didn't go on the presidential campaign like Ron did, so
Ron did that out of necessity though, because Ron was trying to sell the squad like, hey, I got 1,000-yard receiver in Terry McLaurin, I got 1,000-yard running back and Antonio Gibson.
Pro Football Focus, offensive line,
yeah, top 5. And so
see,
Ron was trying to sell it. I get what he was doing. I just like nobody's buying it though, bro.
You know why? You know why, Louie? Because he had to convince prospects, or other players, other teams that the Commanders were legit, right? Like if you were as legit as you thought you were, like the Broncos were, you didn't need to like go out and do the presidential campaign. You didn't need to go out and promote your team.
Exactly. You don't. I told you the weak start riots. In the quiet they move in silence, and the strong move silent because they don't have to do that. Like I don't need to go out there promoting myself or telling you what I'm gonna do or what I'm not gonna do. I can keep quiet and move like the Steelers. They can just move. Like I'm not saying they get Mitchell Trubisky, but their plan all along was bridge quarterback, draft one of these young boys, and we're gonna keep it pushing. But you don't ever hear about what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like you keep your stuff in-house, but they can afford to do that. Ron, his thing was nobody wants to come here. And it's true. And he knows it and he's seen it firsthand. Nobody wants to come here. Like the phone rings. As soon as he said, hey, it's Ron over here at Washington, they hang up the phone. Like they're not interested. So his thing was, I got to change this narrative. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go out here. I'm going to campaign. Like he literally was like a politician this offseason. And he was literally campaigning, trying to tell everybody that would listen, look, we got a good team over here. And he gets chesty every time somebody says, hey, this person didn't want to come here. Or this person didn't want to come here. Because he knows he's fighting a battle, right? Like he's trying to change that narrative. But as he said already, the only way you change that narrative is to win. All that other stuff falls by the wayside.
Yeah, and we're only an hour and 14 into the live stream on this pre-draft special, but we'll get into the draft conversation now. What are your guys' thoughts on pick 11? Who do you think we should go after? Who do you think Washington will ultimately get at pick 11? I know Derek Butts here said Fred Smoot said we should draft Derek Stingley Jr. I think he even compared him to Champ Bailey, if I'm not mistaken. Thoughts on pick 11? We can start with Lou on this one.
First of all, I love Fred. Fred just be talking out the side of his neck. Fred wanted us to take the kid from Clemson, Isaiah Simmons, second overall. Like, Fred, miss me with whatever Fred has to say. But we've talked about this. I think almost 95% of the fan base is in unison here on what position we were taking. Now, what one we should take, that's debatable. But I think a lot of us just I drew my inference from Ron. I always do. I don't try to just go out and just make up stuff. I listen to what Ron's saying. Ron's telling you we're taking more likely than not a skill guy. I don't think there's a guard available that you take at 11. You could talk yourself into one, the kid from Texas A&M, but I don't think there is one that you take at 11. I think they take a receiver. And my thing was Ron went out of his way to go to the Ohio State Pro Day. He doesn't go to many of them, right? He was seen talking with Chris Olave. This is not the first time he talked. He talked to Olave at the Combine as well. So there is interest there. The funny part is Washington fans have just all kind of taken to this narrative that we're getting Chris Olave at 11. And I'm like, you do know there are other teams that, like the Jets, for instance, who have 2 top 10 picks that need a receiver, right? So let's not assume that Chris Olave is just going to be there at 11. But that said, I that's my pick. Olave, assuming that somebody like the Jets doesn't, because I view him, my comp for him is Justin Jefferson. That's what I see him as. So if I'm comping him to Justin Jefferson and he's putting up these ridiculous numbers and then he goes out and runs, a 4.3, whatever, we know he's one of the best route runners in college football coming into the draft. What's stopping this guy from being the first receiver taken in this draft and being a top 10 pick? So, you could argue the best receiver in this draft class isn't even healthy. So
James Williams.
That's right. So I think that elevates a guy like Chris Olave. So we'll see. I got Olave going at 11 though.
On the Jameson Williams point, though, I think it was an NFL.com article from a couple of weeks ago said that his timetable for his ACL injury was 5 to 7 months from when he sustained it in the national championship game. So if that's the case, he might be ready for the regular season after all. So I'm just saying.
It's interesting. I just think when you're a team like Washington, you can't, like, we just dealt with Curtis Samuel being injured. And in the track record, I know Ron doesn't care anything about, Paul Richardson and him being banged up here, but that's a thing here. Like, you can't have Curtis Samuel pretty much not play all last season and then draft a guy that, then we start having flashbacks of Bryce Love. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't go down that road again.
Yeah, I'm on either Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. I like Garrett better because he's just a little more physical and he's better with contested catches. But either one is a win for me. I think Garrett just plays meaner. When you watch him, he's like talking trash. And I think we just need more dogs on the roster, just some more mean guys on the offensive side of the ball. So that's why I like Garrett better than Chris. But Chris is that guy, man. Look what he did against Clemson. And we're talking about he's been doing this for years. It's not like a 1-year thing with him. Ohio State, they just manufacture guys. So I think, and we're bringing him to be a number 2, not a number 1. So he would be a perfect number 2 to Terry. It would just be great to have somebody take the attention off of Terry. Seeing what Trayvon Diggs did to Terry in the second game, or no, really the first game. It's like if there's somebody else on the other side, he can't do some of the stuff that he was doing, where he was just tracking them and he knew he had a safety over the top because that's
also
all
with the really quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback too. You're right about that.
I was about to say, I mean, he smoked him on one route
on the second game, yeah.
And the ball hung in the air for like 2 hours. I'm like, Terry had 2 steps on this dude. Cowboys fans don't want to talk about that though.
That's true.
His ass got cooked.
So. Yeah, in
matter
the
of fact,
second game.
I think that was the play. Terry, Am I mixing my games up? Didn't he get a concussion that game?
The first game he got a concussion. He did have him beat, and then Taylor
hung this shit up there for 5 hours. Like, come on, man, miss me with that. Anyway,
rush hour traffic.
Yeah, so a better quarterback will help, but another wide receiver will help. Defense, the only way I would take defense possibly is Kyle Hamilton. Derek Stingley, I know a lot of people bring him up. There are some injury concerns. He's going to be, I think he will be a great player. Don't get me wrong. There's injury concerns. He hasn't played a full season since he was a freshman. So there's that. But I think it's time we invest on the offensive side of the ball. We have enough first round picks. I think the guys that we have are what we need. Like Ron says when he throws the rock at the wall, all we have is what we need, or all we got is what we have. Whatever saying he says, I think we actually do have, except for a linebacker. We could use another safety, of course. There's some needs on defense for sure. But honestly, the guys that we have just need to step up on defense. That's my opinion. I think we have. It's easy to say we have more talent. If you have Chase Young, John Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, Jamie Davis is a first round pick, Cam Curl, the defense has more talent when you look at it pound for pound than the offense. I think it's time to spend some draft capital on the offensive side of the ball. We need some more blue chip guys. You can't keep getting away with the AGGs of the world and fourth round receivers. I love Calvin Harmon, Cam Sims. I love those guys, but it's time to get a first round, one of these young guys, one of these guys that are coming out the gate swinging at the wide receiver, ready to go. We already know they're ready to come out the gate. Olave's ready to come out the gate. Garrett Wilson's ready to come out the gate. I think Burks is ready to come out the gate. I'm not the biggest fan of Drake London because of the separation. I think he's going to be fine. But for what we need, I'm not the guy who says, "Oh, we need a big receiver." We need separation on this roster. We need guys that can separate. I'd rather take somebody who can separate rather than a big body Josh Doxson, like just jump ball, AGG jump ball kind of guy. You know, Drake London's better than both those guys, but Josh Doxson just scarred me with big guys that don't separate much. AGG is scaring me with those guys too. But yeah, I would take offense in the first round. Like Ronna said, get Carson another playmaker. Get Terry some help on the other side. So, like I said before, Darius Slay, he'll be matched up with Terry, but that second corner for the Eagles is going to have a long day. That second corner for the Cowboys, and Trayvon Diggs is going to get cooked. That second corner, James Bradbury, we already saw what Terry did to James Bradbury. You look at the NFC East and the corners that they're matched up against. That second cornerback, Olave is going to feast. And then Curtis Samuel, if he does come back healthy in the slot, he's going to be nasty. Diami is going to get better. He's going to be nasty. You look at the Rams. They're not scared to add guys. They bought in Allen Robinson. They bought in Odell Beckham last year when they already had Cooper Kupp, who was the best receiver in football last year. He just was. He was the best receiver in football last year. And they still want to add guys. They're not like, oh, we have the best receiver in football in 2021 in Cooper Kupp, but we're still going to add Allen Robinson. Even though we had Robert Woods, we're going to add guys. We're going to trade Robert Woods and get more guys. Look, it's an offensive league. It is what it is. You can say defense wins championships, but you need more weapons. Look at the Bengals. They already had Boyd. They already had Higgins, but they drafted Jamar Chase at 5 because Joe Burrow knew he wanted another wide receiver. He wanted that guy who could be a number 1. And we need more talent. We need more guys on the offensive side of the ball. And I love our first-round picks on defense. But it's time, man. It's time. It's time to upgrade this offense. No more of this 20th ranked third down offense. And some of that is quarterback play. But we got to get some more guys who blue chip players on the offensive side of the ball.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say
not
though,
another linebacker. I like Devin Lloyd. I like N'Kobe. They're fine, but I'd rather go with Chad Muma in the second. I think that's somebody they like Troy Anderson. They had meetings. That's
my guy right there, Troy Anderson.
Yeah, they met with both of those guys. So you can get a linebacker in the second round.
Yeah.
N'Kobe's fine. Devin Lloyd's good too. If they pick one of those guys, it is what it is. They're going to be good players too. But I just think this offense, we need to turn it up a little bit more, a lot more.
I will say though, to flip your point about this being an offensive league, I think because of the fact that it's an offensive league, pass happy league, you can never have too many cornerbacks. And I know people are just now starting to think about Derek Stingley potentially being here in DC because of Fred Smoot's comments, but even before then, I thought Stingley in DC would be a great fit because I think a lot of people forget his freshman year at college, he had 6 picks. He was arguably as good on the LSU championship winning defense as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase was on that offense. Like, he was a pivotal piece. And I know he's had inconsistencies the last 2 years, but I think a lot of those inconsistencies derive from his injuries, and he is fully healthy now. But I also understand, we have a huge need at wide receiver. We need to upgrade our offense and build around Carson Wentz. So I get that point as well. But moving on from pick 11, what are your guys' thoughts on the second round and potentially, the later round picks for us? And who are guys that you guys think might be good fits here in DC?
So it just really all depends on what you do at 11. That's going to dictate what you do moving forward. If you don't take a receiver at 11, then at 47, more likely than not, you're probably staring at receiver. And that's when, the Christian Watsons and the George Pickens and some of those guys who, are likely to still be there. You just never know just how many of these receivers go in the first round. But, you like to think that a couple of those guys might still be around. Sky Moore, another name, these are some guys that'll be around in the second round at 47, where you would like to think. So if you go in a different direction, I think wide receiver is something that they'll still be looking to target. I just assume receiver at 11. And then I think, because I've been on record as saying you have to take your middle linebacker in the first 2 rounds, because you don't have a third round pick, right? You can't assume that in the 4th round, day 3, there's going to be a guy there that you love that you can take. You got to assume that whatever else, because my 2 biggest needs going into the offseason, figure out quarterback, figure out middle linebacker. Ron, he's done this before, so I know what he's doing. So that tells me that while that's where they're leaning towards, if that doesn't happen, they got a contingency plan in place. When he said, hey, we looking at Cole Holcomb as our middle linebacker too. Don't discount that. That's his way of saying, hey, if it doesn't work out where we get one out of these linebackers, we ain't going to force the issue, So in my mind, 11 receiver, 47 is linebacker, and they're going to be a plethora of guys. Troy Anderson is my guy, but there's a plethora of guys that'll be around. I'd like to think at least that will be around at 47. But, assuming that that's how the board falls, I think in a ideal scenario, that's how they would take care of it. Wide receiver and their linebacker.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength there. There's already smoke there with Chad Moon when they met with him at the combine. I know they meet with everybody, but they made it a point to meet with him. They like Troy Anderson from what the reports are saying. Also, and then you saw him talking with Darian Bevers from Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Darian's going to go in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We'll see where he ends up. But yeah, they'll probably go that way. Safety could be an option in the 2nd round. Daxton he'll probably they got him going late first, but I guess if Daxton falls to 47, that's a possibility. And they're interested in tight ends, as we've heard. They got a top 30 visit with Jalen Watermeyer, so you can take that for whatever it's worth. I don't see him going in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I think that's a 4th round thing.
Yeah, that's a 4th, 5th. Trey McBride is probably the only person you might think about taking at the highest point for a tight end. But we know those are the positions: that tight end, linebacker, and wide receiver. Those are the 3 big spots big positions they're looking for. So wide receiver in the 1st, and then give me Muma or give me Anderson in the 2nd. Leo Chanel from Wisconsin. I got to look at where he could go in the 2nd, but I know he's not great in coverage. He's a good 2-down linebacker, but we'll see if he can play 3 downs. But I think those are the Darian. Yeah, we can see Ron. The way when Ron goes up to you and talks to you, that's when he really, really likes you. So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. I'll say, to go against the grain a little bit, although I think obviously tight end, linebacker, definitely positions we might look to in the 2nd round. If we're talking about just straight up best player available, I don't think this guy is getting enough hype. Breece Hall, running back, I believe from Iowa State. I posted a tweet on April 1st and comparing Jonathan Taylor as a prospect to Breece Hall, and the similarities are eerie. They're obviously both Midwest prospects, but Jonathan Taylor had 21 touchdowns in his last year at college. Breece Hall had 20. I mean, 5'11", 217. Jonathan Taylor was 5'10", 226. Both ran a 4.39 40-yard time. I mean, if we're talking best player available, I know we have Antonio Gibson, but if we're looking long-term, right, potentially not wanting to pay Antonio Gibson past, the next couple of years, Breece Hall looks like he looks like a solid prospect. It might be too rich, right? We're talking about second-round draft capital for a running back, but I'm just saying, like, the similarities are eerie.
Yeah, no, that's an absolute 110%. No equivocations. No, like
Okay.
I've been a staunch supporter of I feel like we can upgrade over Jared Patterson as our third running back, like that. But that's something you do if you got 9 picks in this draft. We got 6. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't afford to be spending a second-round pick on a running back when you have.
But if we trade back,
If
we trade back though.
And I think when we made the Carson Wentz deal, 11 became interesting from a trade back standpoint, more so than it was prior to that deal. But I still think when you stink good enough to get 11, you got to make a pick, unless somebody comes to the table with an offer you can't refuse. And I always talk about it like this: if you have a list of 17 guys that you just love in the first round, obviously you're going to get one of them at 11, right? But if somebody calls you and they're at 16 and they want to come up to 11, so, this is just hypothetical. The Saints traded with the Eagles today, right? Picked up 16 and 19. Say the Saints call you and they say, hey, it's a guy we want at 11. Highly unlikely that they would do that. They want 2 picks. That's why they did it. But they love a guy at 11 and they know he's not going to be there at 16. And they're offering you, 16, and they're going to offer you 19 as well to move back. Would you do that? Clearly, if you had 17 guys that you loved, that guy's still going to be there at 16. One of those guys at least. So you make the move and you pick up the draft capital, and it would cost them more than just that to move up, more likely than not. So it's an interesting dynamic, but to me, when you stink good enough to get a top 15 pick, you got to try to get a blue chipper. Ed said it. We don't have enough of those. That's our problem, really, if you want to be honest. Is we got a bunch of red chip guys, guys that are cog players that you need on your team to help you win. But those dudes don't move the needle if you don't have blue chip players. The reason the Rams can do what they're doing is because they got Aaron Donald, they got Jalen Ramsey, they got Cooper Kupp, they got Matthew Stafford. These are all blue chip players, right? They had Odell Beckham Jr., another blue chip player when he's healthy. So Von Miller, they add another one, and Bobby Wagner, right? Blue chip players. What you can do is not have first round picks, not have second round picks, because you can add a bunch of middle round guys that can supplement those A+ players. When you don't have those foundational pieces, you can't get a bunch of middle round guys and expect them to come in here and be superstars. That's when you get into trouble. That's been our problem for a long time. Is we spent all this draft capital on the defensive line, and we got nothing on offense. Hell, even Terry's a 3rd round pick. We got lucky. You know what I'm saying? Antonio Gibson's a 3rd round pick. When you look at our offense, where's the tight end? Literally, I love Logan Thomas. Remember when we got him, he was an unknown prospect, a guy that used to be a quarterback that was still adjusting. But it's Logan Thomas, right? No disrespect, but as I always like to say, somebody says no disrespect, every word after the conjunction is disrespect. No disrespect to Logan Thomas, but he's Logan Thomas, right? Like there's a ceiling to Logan Thomas. I love what he did for us in 2020. And when he's healthy, he's really good. But I want an athletically gifted tight end, somebody that can move. Like we don't spend any draft capital of note on offensive skill position players. We just keep adding these guys that we hope, like De'Ami Brown is a 3rd round pick. AGG was a 4th round pick. Like you keep trying to get by with these dudes in day 2 and late day, early day 3. Even the tight end we took last year, John Bates. I love John. He's a 3rd tight end at best in this league. Best John Bates can do. Bless his heart. We need a TE2. So they got to do something there. They tried to bring back Ricky Seals-Jones. He took the opportunity to go play and start with the Giants. I don't blame him. So we gotta start and Ed said this. We gotta start investing in this offense, man. Like you can't keep putting these third, fourth, fifth. Remember in 20, it's funny to think about it now. In 2020, Terry was the only receiver that was drafted. The rest of the dudes were undrafted wide receivers. Dontrell Inman and Isaiah Wright. Steven Sims. These were the guys we were trotting out there, man. Like, are you serious? You want somebody to take us serious and this is what you put on the field? So we gotta, like, that's why to me at 11 it's gotta be a receiver. Like, we can come back and get the linebacker later, man. Like, look, I love me. I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. I love me some Kyle Hamilton. Give me the receiver at 11, okay? Because I feel like I can find a Justin Simmons in the 3rd round, like the Broncos did. You know, we got Cam Curl in the 7th round, man. Find me a safety somewhere, okay? Kyle Hamilton, for as good as he is, he's got limitations. I watched every single snap of his career at Notre Dame. He's got limitations. He's really good. All right. But I need me a receiver, man. and I'm going to tell anybody, and I've said this already, but I know this is a different audience, so this is your program, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it here. Look at Ron's track record with safeties. Ron ain't drafting no safety at 11, okay? Ron's track record was, I'll find a guy, I'll plug him in at safety. I don't value the safety position to spend no 1st-round pick on no safety. It was Roman Harper. It was Mike Adams. It was Eric Reed. It was Colin Jones. These are the safeties that Ron was throwing back. It was Trey Boston, okay? I'm not spending no 11th pick in the draft on no safety. I'll find a guy. You don't think Ron's perfectly comfortable with paying Bobby McCain for 2 more years and putting him in there at safety? Come on, man. Stop playing. We ain't drafting no safety at 11.
Ed, you got thoughts?
No, I'm with it. I mean, I'm ready for this offense, man. We need to have guns and stuff.
Yeah,
we need to start having guns.
That's right.
Stuff. That's what we need on the offense side of the ball. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm with Olave. I'm with Will. I'd rather have Wilson, but I'll take Olave. Could you get a George Pickens in the 2nd round? Sure, he's coming off of injuries too. Jameson Williams, I am a little concerned with the injury, but no, he is going to be good. That is somebody that you might want to wait for. But our team, we just don't have the organization and the time to wait on a Jameson Williams. We need right now, so that's why I can't go with Jameson Williams. See some people bring up Christian Watson. He's a little raw. You know, he runs a 4.4, he's 6'4", so he's talented. But yeah, we do need a 1st-round guy. We need some blue chip guys. We need more of a sure thing on the offensive side of the ball.
You guys like John Mechie at all potentially in the 2nd round?
I do like John Mechie. I like any Allen.
I love him.
Okay.
But again, you got another dude coming off an injury, man. That's scary for me, man. As a Washington, I'm scarred as a Washington fan, man. Yeah, we done that too many times, and we always get burnt. We never are the team that a guy goes to and he gets healthy and he plays outstanding football. You know, that just doesn't happen here.
Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you guys for too much longer. I appreciate the over 90 minutes that you guys have dedicated to this. Thank you guys so much in the chat for joining. KK World, Red Wings. I probably won't go through everybody, but thank you guys so much for joining and the great comments. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to every one of them, but Louie, Ed, is there anything else you guys want to plug or say before we officially sign off?
No, I mean, again, I appreciate y'all supporting this channel, Ed's channel. You know, all of us, we're a community, like I said, you know, and so it's a lot of times people make it seem like we're competing against each other. We're not. It's enough out here for all of us to eat. You know what I mean? So I'm excited when I see other dudes doing well, you know. So shout out to all the Redskins, but Washington content creators out there, man. And everybody's doing their thing, man. I'm just happy to see the growth that is taking place. And you know, if you haven't already subbed up to my channel, Louie T Network, by all means, please do. Again, I have another channel. If you're a card collector or you're interested in that, I have another channel, Big Card Hunter, on YouTube. Check that out. You can find me on Twitter. On Louie T Network, at Louie T Network, at Big Card Hunter. You can find me on Twitter, Louie T Network _ or at Big Card Hunter on IG as well. So I appreciate the platform, Nadi, and giving me a
No
chance
problem.
to let the people know.
Yeah, definitely. This is a great follow, fellas. I've subscribed. I got the notification bell on both of you guys.
Appreciate it.
Commanders YouTube is growing, man. When I started, Louie's been doing it for many, many years. I started in 2018. There wasn't many of us, and now it's 2022, and there's just a lot more Commanders YouTubers. So the community is growing. So you know where to get your content from. You guys can sum me up. Just hit @Oliver Commanders. The Bills might come up, but just for the Commanders. And Locked On Wizards too for the Wizards community out there.
Yeah.
Sub us up. It's gonna be a long off season. We're not in the playoffs at all, so it's gonna be a long off season. You guys can sub me up on there, and I do real estate in Maryland. So if you're looking to buy a house or sell a house, just hit me up.
Man does it all. Jack of all trades.
And congrats on the twins, man. I got a little one on the way. So I'm about to have.
Appreciate you, and hey, congratulations and good luck with that too, man. Blessings.
For sure. These two guys inspired a lot of podcasters, a lot of YouTubers in our community. And again, if you guys haven't subbed them up already, make sure to do so. And with that being said, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the DMV Sports Zone channel, where we like to post fire content like this as much as possible. Also, go follow our Twitter page @DMV Sports Zone, Instagram page all lowercase DMV Sports Zone, and our TikTok run by Abdullah, who thinks LeBron is the GOAT, at DMV Sports Zone as well. But yeah, hope you guys have a great national championship watch party wherever you are. And Duke's not in it, but we won't talk about that anymore.
Man.
And LeBron's not in the play-in?
Maybe Katie might not be either.
No, he's gonna be.
We won't talk about that. I don't know. I don't know.
I'd let y'all have that play-in conversation, man.
Yeah, true.
Let the play-in teams worry about the play-in stuff. Man.
Yeah,
I graduated from that. I was there last year. We ain't doing that.
Sitting pretty, man. 19-2 without Jaw. That I can't get over that.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of context to that. I love people like to pull those numbers out, but you gotta look at some of the competition we played during that stretch. Too.
Fair. All right, guys. Well, see you on the next one. Peace.